What we're talking about today is the civilian radio wing. So this is a product that has been in development for quite a while. It's taken almost 2 years to bring to market from the beginning. And what we're going to do today is just talk about the features of it, set it up on a kit, and go from there. So for colors, to start, this is going to be offered in every colorway that we offer the AC1, so no surprise there. But today we're just going to be messing with the multicam. Now there are a ton of different radio wings, radio pouches out there, as you guys are probably aware of, and if you're looking at this video, you're probably trying to find a radio wing of some sort for your plate carrier. Now, we did try to offer something that's going to be a little bit more unique, a little bit different comparatively to what's mostly out there. So majority of companies are tailoring their equipment, not only just their radio wings, but also their pouches and other sorts of things towards military equipment, towards equipment that the majority of their customers don't have. What we're trying to do is tailor our equipment towards stuff that you do have. For example, civilian sized radios. Now, civilian sized radios are different in size comparatively to military radios. As you can see, military radios are quite large comparatively to most civilian radios are around this size. This is a little bit on the smaller side, but you get the idea. Now, there are radios, civilian radios, that are kind of in the middle. This is going to be your average size of encrypted radio, but these are generally around $700 to $1,500 price range. Meanwhile, your cheap Chinese radios, like your Baofeng, all the way up to your what I would call your Glock 19 and BCM radio, your Yaesu VX6R, are going to be in this size range. So the radio pouch, the radio wing, is tailored to be able to fit these radios specifically, so optimized for these, but also they are able to be scaled up to large size radios, and I'll demonstrate that. So some of the features of this radio wing that make it a little unique, other than the size, is that it's completely ambidextrous. So there are other radio wings out there that are the same way, but what you can do to make this ambidextrous is you just take out the bottom, like so, and then you can put it on the other side, and the guy that has the buckle is just Velcro, and it's tied off with loops, and these loops are on both sides. So if I wanted to flip this to be on the other side of my plate carrier, I just untie this, tie it on the bottom, then put this guy on the other side. Now, with this being completely removable, obviously it makes the adjustment of this pretty extensive, so I can have this barely hang on. And obviously that will accommodate a pretty long radio. This is going to be, again, your military size radios, or I can choke this guy all the way up for a radio like the VX6R. Another feature of this that's a little unique is the elastic here on the side. Now, this elastic on the side is just here for cable management. So something that's really annoying is when you're setting up radios, you've got a lot of cables, they're going all over the place, you don't really have a good place to put them. This just gives you one option to help secure some of your cabling. Now, there's no way to offer a cable management solution that's going to be perfect for every situation, but this is just one way, and I've noticed that this has helped quite a bit. So we're going to set this radio pouch up for the VX6R specifically. This is, like I said, my favorite radio. If I can only own one radio, this would probably be it. I'm not going to explain why, but just look it up. They're great radios. So I'm going to choke this guy all the way up. Now, one thing I would like to note as we do this is if you are using this for larger radios, like a 152 or a 148, whatever you kids are getting issued these days, this is an elastic radio wing. So elastic does have a lifespan, they do wear out. So the more you stretch it out, the more it's going to be worn out. So just keep that in mind. Again, this radio wing is tailored for smaller radios. Now, once you get your radio wing and you start to adjust it, you're going to notice that this Velcro is a little bit difficult, and that's intentional. So if it's easy to remove, it's going to be easy to come off. And what we wanted is something that's going to be very secure, maybe annoying to set up initially, but once it's in place, it's not going to move, and you're not going to have to worry about when you shove your radio in, the Velcro in there peeling away, and then that's just something we wanted to avoid. So the Velcro is going to be a little bit sticky to get in place initially. The last thing I want to note about the adjustable part of this radio wing is that it's padded. So if your radio does stick out, you're going to have a little bit of padding there to protect you. Now, the corners of your battery will be exposed. Like I said, there is no one size fits all for radios when it comes to making a pouch. So again, designed specifically for smaller radios. I'm going to repeat it over and over. We obviously don't want the radio touching your body. Radio batteries can't overheat, get hot, and they can cause burns, especially military radios. Civilian radios, not so much. But and then those corners can obviously cause hot spots. So the idea was to avoid corners and if they were avoided, trying to keep them away from your body, and that's kind of where the design comes from. So we do have some mesh padding on the back, and that should be fairly comfortable. So before I put this radio into this pouch, kind of got it sized already, I did want to show what this radio wing started as. So this is actually version 1. As you can see, it has changed quite a bit, not extensively, but the only thing I really want to note here is that I've actually only been basically using this version for about a year and a half now, almost about a year, and it is still basically brand new. I've shoved every size radio in there, so I did mention the elasticity wearing out on these if you use oversized radios, but it's going to take quite a bit to do that. So I have used primarily small radios in this, but larger radios have been shoved in this for extended periods of time, and the original form factor and size has remained the same. So when I put my radio in the pouch, I'm actually going to remove my push-to-talk and whatnot from it. And one nice thing about the VXR, and one con to it, is that it is a threaded port. So it is kind of annoying to get on, but once it's in there, it's very secure, basically waterproof. But like I said, it's a little difficult, and this cable will get all twisted as you try to thread it on. So I get my radio in there, and the reason why I'm putting the radio in first is now I can thread this cable through the cable management system just a little bit easier. So I've used this setup quite a bit. This is just a standard U94, so I kind of know the length that I want it, but this cable management system can be as complicated or as simple as you want it. You can, well, what I like to do is just shove the spare cable on the side here, just like this. So it's just a loop going through there, and it just basically shortens the leads of the cable. So then I can thread this guy on. It'd be better to thread it first, to be honest, but there we have it. So we have that, and then we can go ahead and secure this down. So I can tighten this if I want. All you gotta do is just pull this. You can tie a second knot here, or just untie this, tie a tighter knot, and then cut the excess off if you want. I'm just gonna leave it like this. These radios have been pretty secure in this setup as is. So let's set it up on a plate carrier. So when we set up our plate carrier with the radio, first thing to note is that you generally, as a right-handed shooter, want your radio on your left side, and if you're a left-handed shooter, radio on the other side. This just keeps the antenna and your push-to-talk out of the way of your stock. I have this set up backwards, and I generally run dual comms anyway, so I'm gonna have a radio on both sides. So we're just gonna set up the radio on the wrong side, basically, that's what I'm saying. All right, let's get this tourniquet out of the way, tourniquet holder. This is not rocket science, guys. This is literally just Velcros in place. You can adjust the height of where you want this guy. I'm just gonna take this placard off real quick. On the front, you can have your radio ride lower, ride higher. We kind of size this to be a little bit adjustable. And the reason why this is basically half the length of the AC1 front panel MOLLE, or Velcro, is so when you take your cummerbund off, this shouldn't peel off with it. I like to have my U94 mounted here on the quasim buckle area. That's why I always remove my AC1s, because this is what I use to secure push-to-talk. So if you have a sling keeper, and you're using the most common push-to-talk solution, just run your sling keeper through it, put your push-to-talk on here, wrap this guy around, and then you can secure it to the push-to-talk, or the plastic on the sling keeper, just like so. And it is actually pretty streamlined. So generally I want the cables to always run as close to my body as possible, just prevents snag hazards. And as you can see with that cable management system, with very minimal effort, there's hardly any cables there. So I can run this cable through this buckle just to make them even more secure. And there you have it. So pretty simple. So with a front placard, with magazines and a push-to-talk, it's going to look something like this. Last thing I want to do is just demonstrate putting some of these larger radios into a radio wing and kind of just show you what it looks like. So we'll take another one of these radio wings, and without adjusting it, just how it comes in the packaging. As they come in the packaging, it is going to come set up to use as a right-handed shooter generally. But as you can see, Hytera, pretty big radio. This guy will stretch quite a bit, even with the clip on here. Obviously, remove this clip if you're going to use a radio wing, but again, just demonstrative purposes here, that even with the clip and a side connector, which is one thing I want to talk about, it will accommodate these radios quite nicely. So obviously, to optimize this radio in here, I would adjust this down a little bit so the radio can see it a little bit deeper. Also, don't want the front screen to be facing outward. or if I do have it facing outward, I don't want the light to be exposed. But if you do have a side connector, like a Kenwood 2-pin, or for example, what this Hytera uses, the elastic will stretch over it and it will accommodate it, and you will be just fine. So nothing to worry about there. So now we're going to do the military radio. So I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. Really all I got to do is probably just adjust one side. For a quick way to adjust this, what I would like to do is just peel away the pouch from the Velcro on one side at a time. Once it's attached, I can kind of just roll it to about the distance I want, and then just set it right back in place. So got a little bit extra excess hanging out here to accommodate this 152. Like I said, again, probably for the 5th or 6th time, these are made for smaller radios, so this will fit. It'll just be quite a bit of a stretch and be a little snug. There we have it. So as you can see, again, size for smaller radios. You can definitely extend this out farther to really accommodate this radio a little bit better, but it will accommodate even up to a 152. And I have played with this a little bit, and I've worn 152s and 148s for a large time in my life. It was basically my job, literally was my job. And this is the most comfortable radio wing, even though it's not even made for radios this size. So when we did do the padding on the back, we made sure that the width of it would be good for these size radios, so you're not going to have any of the edges of the material kind of like running up against your body. It will wrap all the way around the radio, and that was intentional. There you have it, guys. That is the T.REX Arms civilian radio wing. If you guys have any questions about this pouch, if you need help setting it up, if you need just help with what radios will fit in it, even though we kind of demonstrated from basically one of the smallest to one of the largest. So that being said, almost every radio should fit in it. But if you just need confirmation for you're ready to fit in it, basically any questions at all regarding this pouch or anything at all, go ahead and email us at team@trexarms.com.